Allah Yahweh Shem Yahshua Bashem Rakakadash Barakatham. All right, double honors to the elder apostles at Great Millstone. Salutations to you brothers on the highways and byways, teaching this truth and sincerity. We are risking our lives to teach this truth. The elites are starting to come after the ministers of the Lord. All right, the Lord is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yahweh is He who is. Yahushai is He who will save the elect. All right, the elect being the remnant of the nation of Israel. All right, there's several different nations of people according to biblical identity in the world today. All right, so the Lord's only dealing with the elect, but in my prior video, I was referencing the situation with the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and essentially how we are in a status of being chastised and being corrected because we are incapable of keeping the covenant. All right, a lot of our people, being Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, are caught up in schemes and designs that were formulated by the adversary. All right, who is Esau Edom. All right, and then also our people, they're troubled from years and centuries of captivity, man. And so we're sick. All right, but let me get this real quick. Isaiah 10 and 5. O Assyrian. All right, so there was the Assyrian captivity that we were a part of as Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The Assyrians at that point would historically be the adversary, one of the heathen nations, particularly the son of perdition, who will be today known as the self-proclaimed white man. In the Bible, they are the Edomites. That is their true identity. They've led the world to a status of perdition. All right, self-destruction. There's a formulation of world war on the horizon. They keep printing money into a system that is already hyperinflated. We are ultimately owned by a central bank in America. The central bank is at the bottom of it, operated by the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and DuPonts, and they are the subjugators of our affliction. All right, being Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and then the confusions of faces that are in my situation, 2 generations by a heathen mother, looking like the other nations, but spiritually identifying as my true nationality, which is an Israelite. But the nations, the other nations, let's see, the Arabs, the so-called Chinese, the so-called Japanese, the so-called self-proclaimed Caucasians, they're all the heathens in the scriptures. They're the nations of the Philistines, the Amalekites are the head tribe of the nation of Esau, Edom. All right, you got Moab, you got Ammon, you got Elam, Ishmael. Ishmael's in the Middle East right now. All right, Ishmael, they believe that they are the chosen line, but they're not. The chosen line is through Shem. All right, one of the 3 patriarchs of the sons of Noah. All right, and we are established through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, the 12 tribes of Israel, and there will be a 12,000 from each tribe remembrance, and that's what we're doing. We're identifying. We're coming back to our nationality. These laws, statutes, and commandments. Today's the new moon, so we're recognizing today is the new moon. But real quickly, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. All right, and that's the Lord chastising the nation of Israel with the other nations. That's what the Lord had to do to basically, as a result of our going off, not following the law, statutes, and commandments. All right. we're just gonna go get it real quick because why not? You know, the unicorn's not gonna be around for much longer. It's not DT, so you gotta be. There we go. And so the Assyrians, today it's the Edomites. They got the Lord's people, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans calling themselves by bywords, by names, and names of captivity that they've enslaved our people. They've totally conquered our people. All right, and that's just the bottom of it, And so we're in a low estate, and we're humbling back down to our nationality and realizing that ultimately what the Lord wants is that He wants us to know that we ain't shit. Let's get this here real quick. It says, this is what we're suffering from. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, Yahweh, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And it goes as follows. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. All right, so that's what our people suffer in America and around the world, in the origins of our captivity. Israel's been spread around the world like the sands of the sea, and this is a testimony to the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That's his name. Yahushai will save the elect. The elect will come from the four corners of the earth. All right, but this is what we're suffering, from these Edomites, these heathens, the rod of indignation from who the world calls God ignorantly in Jesus Christ. Their true names are Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and they will be professed and proclaimed above all in the end. Every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess. All right, so we got to follow these law, statutes, and commandments, because if we don't, as you had just seen, curse shall be our basket, curse shall be our whole existence. And that's there for brothers to go reference. Deuteronomy 28. The entire chapter is very edifying, and brothers, every brother studies in different parts of the scriptures, and that's through the Spirit, man. And but we're going to carry on. It says, this is Isaiah 45:23. I have sworn by myself, the word is gone out of my mouth in righteousness, and shall not return, that unto me every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear. And that will be to the testimony, all right, of the Lord's name, which is in the Paleo Hebrew Yahweh, and the Messiah's name, the anointed, the Christ, all right, Hamashiach. His name is Yahushai. And that's what we're all going to join together in unison, in unity, proclaiming. And we are the hopeful elect, man, here at Great Millstone, starting with the elder apostles on down, who have been diligently teaching this this ministry and this information, this revelation, all right, back to the people, that have formerly identified themselves as so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Here soon, these Edomites will come to a point where they will bow to us. All right, we are the chosen people of the Lord. We will be put back in our place, and that will be in a place of royalty and of status, man. The first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. We'll get that real quick when I come back. All right, so here it is. Yahushua says it best. Matthew 19:28. Verily I say unto you, and this is Yahushua speaking, says, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. That's because that's what the scriptures is dealing with, just the 12 tribes. This is a message, a covenant, only to the elect. And that's why we're only the ones that are able to understand this, in this complexity, because you have to have a qualifier to have the understanding or the wherewithal to get this truth. And we'll get that coming up. But right now, let's continue on. It says, and everyone that hath forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake. And that namesake there is important. It's for Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rakakadash. All right. Barakatham. All right. Shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. And that's the unity aspect of it, because Esau Edom, to an extent has rewritten the scriptures beyond the King James. All right. And has taken the scriptures way, way out of context in his churches, the self-proclaimed white man in his denominational churches, and completely abused and misinterpreted the scriptures to the point where most people won't even deal with the idea of listening to the Most High. All right. And that the reason for that is because Esau Edom is not the caretaker of the Lord, not the caretaker, but the chosen. All right. Essentially is what it comes down to. All right. But here it is. This is what it comes down to. We have to sacrifice these things in the end. Those of us that believe in these names, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, father, mother, wife, children, I myself, we got to be ready to walk away from this stuff, because life in America is not a certainty anymore, and it never was. We were in a status of chattel slavery when we were forced to build this country, being the Southern Kingdom, and then they killed all our Northern Kingdom brothers. What they label us today as as so-called Hispanic and Native American, under the premise of white supremacy, and they've dominated and conquered lands, and under their doctrine and their banner, and they will pay for their actions. Thus saith the Most High. All right, but the elect's gonna return unto the Lord's name, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, under the elder apostles at Great Millstone, because they're the only ones that teach in truth and sincerity. They come in 100% truth and do the Lord's work. Bottom line, at the end of the day. All right. But here's another important piece that Yahweh Shai left for us to that are, understanding this truth. It says, but many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be the first. All right. And so that's the structure today, where the evil and the wicked are above the righteous, the elect, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are on the bottom end of society in this kingdom, in this world that we live in today. All right. This world is the world of evil, the world of wickedness. All right. And it's ruled by the self-proclaimed white man. All right. And that's what he calls himself. All right. And that's what he identifies himself as. And it coming down to understand his origin, we know that he is the biblical Edomite. And him labeling himself as white is a way of him trying to avoid his actual identity, which is his red melanin, or his red skin tone, which is ultimately the curse of Cain. All right, well, we'll get all this. Let's get this real quick. And so the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first, like Yahweh Shai said. All right. Gonna have to come back to you. And so coming back here, these Edomites, these self-proclaimed Caucasians, they're going to lead the world into a massive world war. It's going to be the final war. All right. In this society, they would label it as World War III. And they're going to fight the Lord. All right. The Lord being Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And the Lord's going to basically subjugate these heathens and forcefully reassert dominance, all right, spiritually. because these Edomites and these other nations have been allowed to develop. All right, and these other nations, I'm talking about, like, the nation of China that has its own economy. These Moabites, they think they're up next, and it says that in the scriptures, how they've heard the rumor of Moab. Let's get that. All right, picking back up. I had to find it real quick. I'm at work right now, brothers, so it is what it is. I gotta do this work though. Jeremiah 48:29. We have heard the pride of Moab. He is exceedingly proud. His loftiness and his arrogancy and his pride and his haughtiness of his heart. All right, and that's these Moabites. These so-called Asian people, you know. And then, people look at us and are like, well, what gives you the ability, and it's the Lord that allows us to see the scriptures in this way, and it's just because we are the chosen people to understand these precepts. And that's what they are. They're precepts. It's precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, And so China's been allowed to develop. America's been allowed to develop, and America and NATO are a strong arm that the elites, the central bank, has used to grapple the rest of the world. All right, economically, the elites, being the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and DuPonts, they've used the America and NATO to strong arm the rest of the world politically, and developed a moniker or an emblem, an insignia on a governmental structure and banking level that has established what we know today as the American petrodollar. And, now we have the opposing force that they've also allowed to be created, which would be the BRICS backed, ruble, yuan, and Iranian dollar. All right. And so that's the opposition. And so when you look at things like that, you begin to see a clearer picture as to the motives behind the governmental structure of the United States in the Middle East, and in the scriptures, when it comes to terms with the Middle East, it's referred to as the valley of the Lord's judgment, and it is a great judgment indeed that will be on the world, starting because of this rumors of war and this ongoing conflict that's been going on really since the beginning of these Edomites' rulership, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that the people in Israel now are not who they say they are. All right, we have the ability to say that as Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that the people that claim that they are the Israelites today are false identity thieves. All right, and that's exactly what they are. And when you look into the root of that people, which would be the Amalekian, and I'm going to put a quote on it, Jewish, quote, end quote. All right, they're a bunch of identity jacking, culture jacking vampires, and that's what it comes down to. All right, Amalek is again, he's the leader of the nation of Esau, of the nation of Edom, and so he's been allowed to develop spiritually, being wicked. All right, and it's just to see how he's been allowed to develop wickedly is terrifying for a righteous man in a righteous man's eyes, or from a opposing side's eyes, being from myself, viewing the world for what it is, man. And that's what we got to do. We got to envision the reality of the Lord, man. We're going to grab this real quick if I can find it. If not, I'll have to pause it and come back. fact, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna cut it and make another video.